two surprising names, Ryan, that are going to go a lot earlier than people anticipate. We're already getting tidbits. We just got here yesterday. We drove 10 hours. A to Z Sports, Joe DeLeone and Ryan Roberts here at the NFL Combine. Got a nice little tidbit that you shared that an NFL personnel source revealed that Cashius Howell and R. Mason Thomas, two guys that are potentially on the first-round bubble, could go a lot earlier. So much so that they could be picks in the teens in this upcoming draft.
It is, as we know, pass rush is always needed in the NFL. It is a quarterback-driven league, so the ability to have a great quarterback, but then to affect the quarterback on the defensive side of football is always paramount on this level. So these are two of the best just upside pass rushers we have in this class. And we could have a conversation of, are they complete? Are they great against the run? Do they have a tremendous
Are they role
upside?
specific designated pass rushers? Are they every down players? That's going to be a discussion that we'll probably have through the course of this process.
Yes, we're going to have the debate several times, I think, especially with these guys. But the ability to get after the quarterback, I think, is vaulting these guys up the board. And as you said, I believe pretty firmly right now, based upon some conversations I've had, not only with that one source, but just with a couple other people, that I think that R. Mason Thomas, pass rusher out of Oklahoma, Cashius Howell, pass rusher out of Texas A&M, I think they have a chance to go top 20 in this draft, man. I really do, because we are looking at an edge group up top, and depending on if you view Arvell Reese as an edge, you're going to see Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, and you are going to see David Bailey come off the board inside of the top 10. After that, pass rush sells. What's the next wave of pass rushers? And I think right now, a lot of people are saying it's going to be Akeem Mesidor, some Zion Young love out of Missouri. I think that these two guys have a chance to be edge potentially 4 and 5 or 3 and 4, depending on how you just ultimately view Arvell Reese. So these guys, top 20 potential picks, they are imperfect prospects, but that ability they have to affect the quarterback is what is really allowing them to rise in this class right now.
They bring a lot of value, and I think that the biggest thing out of some of these other second-tier pass rushers, they're both very explosive. They both have some uniqueness to them. They both have really good hands, too, which is, I think, that's something that stands out to me. They have the tools to become productive pass rushers. As we pointed out, there's just maybe a little bit of uncertainty of the full role that they play in the NFL, because Cashius Howell, I'm curious to see what his arm length number is. I'm sure that his trainers have been having him stretch a ton during the week leading up to make sure that number doesn't look too bad, but that was a concern with him. R. Mason Thomas, I don't really know what his arm, I think you told me that his arm length's not that bad. But he's shorter. He's going to be a guy that's considered to be a lot shorter.
Well, both guys are going to be outliers in terms of length. We had R. Mason Thomas, I think, like 31 and a half inches before this season, so he's a shorter armed guy. R. Mason Thomas was sub 31 in the preseason. So
both of these guys are on the shorter side. Here's the biggest thing with this, what I think reinforces why this is a high likelihood that one of them goes somewhere in the top 20 and maybe goes to the team that we got that information from, is that this class overall, a lot of the picks that go from pick, let's say 15 to maybe even 40, a lot of those grades are going to be relatively similar. That is one thing that I think NFL fans and NFL draft fans need to recognize and really realize, that this year's draft, outside of the bucket of really premier guys and then some kind of hovering dudes that are going to go in the top 10, not to mention the fact 2 quarterbacks that aren't exactly otherworldly quarterback prospects that are going to kind of affect the shuffling there. The fact that we've got such similar grades, it wouldn't shock me to see, based on what we're talking about here, to see a team just go, we want to fill a need, and these guys are in the relative range. Why don't we address the need instead of forcing something that we don't need to go after?
You know, I think both these players have should be thanking Nick Benito out of for the Denver Broncos right now, because he is one of these latest guys of these undersized, not great length, outside track rushers that are stand-up dudes that are showcasing that in the right defensive system, they can be extremely impactful. And I think that both Thomas and Howell both, in my opinion, play hard in the run game. They're not lack of physicality, but they're just undersized. They lack the length to be able to hold the point of attack and the power and the mass to be able to do so. But despite that, I do think they have enough effort where you at least say this is potentially passable on the NFL level. But I do think that, hey man, Shaq Barrett's to now more recently the Nick Benitos of the world, those guys are opening doors for guys like R. Mason Thomas and a a player like Cashius Howell to potentially make that rise and to be a player that is drafted extremely early when April comes around.
Like, subscribe. We'll be back, folks. More content coming here at the NFL Combine with Best Spot Available and A to Z Sports. We'll catch up with you soon.